and I think I need to take the responsibility for that.
The LSE Council has commissioned the former Lord Chief Justice, Lord Wolfe, to look into the financial dealings with Libya, including a $3.6 million contract to train Libyan officials in leadership skills, a $2.4 million donation from Saif Gaddafi's charitable foundation, and $37,000 from the same foundation for academics to travel to Libya. Sir Howard remains popular among LSE students, most of whom blame his demise on circumstance rather than judgment.
No one condones what Gaddafi's doing. It's terrible, it's disgusting, and we'd be stupid to accept any type of money today. But that money that they gave 5 years ago was to help African development and research in Africa, and it was done through legal channels. There was nothing underhand so far that we know about. So I just think, hindsight is a wonderful thing, as you say, and it's all just been blown out of proportion, to be honest.
He's extremely unlucky because, it just so happens that now everyone's seeing Gaddafi under a bad eye because of what's happening. He has to take the blame for it. It seems kind of unfair.
I think it's more a publicity issue than an issue of, say, the stewardship of the university.
One student leader says other academics, other universities are equally culpable.
Students are actually questioning what's happening at the university, where they're getting their money from, but also, even at the LSE, there are other people who are in the upper echelons of this university who still need to sort of come to terms publicly with what they've done in the past.
Few here believe the LSE is alone among British academic institutions in having accepted past legitimate donations from now deeply questionable sources. And Howard Davis's resignation still leaves many questions unanswered. Paul Brennan, AlJazeera at the London School of Economics.
A German prosecutor says the man suspected of shooting dead 2 U.S. Air Force members at Frankfurt Airport on Wednesday could have killed more people if his gun hadn't jammed. 21-year-old Arid Uka has been charged with 2 counts of murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. The prosecutor says his gun jammed with 6 bullets still in the magazine.
He held the pistol directly in front of the third soldier's head and pulled the trigger twice in order to kill him. But the pistol didn't fire, as 1 bullet casing got stuck in the mechanism of the gun, so this soldier wasn't injured. As the accused realized his gun was no longer working, he escaped, but was followed by the soldier and overpowered and apprehended by both him and federal police officers.
3 young sisters have been killed in Peru when their home was buried under a torrent of rocks and mud. Heavy rains flooded a ravine in the northern town of Moyobamba, triggering the landslide. The children's parents were saved. 3 other people died in the town and several others are still missing. Well, a week after mudslides in the Bolivian capital, La Paz, victims remain in makeshift accommodation. At least 50 people died when their homes were flooded. Thousands were forced to flee as buildings collapsed across 7 districts. Civil defense officials say it's the city's worst natural disaster. Nepal's former Prime Minister Krishna Prasad Bhattarai has died. He was 87 years old. Bhattarai served as Prime Minister of the Himalayan nation twice after leading a popular movement to restore multi-party democracy in 1990, and then again 9 years later. Bhattarai is said to be cremated on a Sunday. Nepal's Maoist party has agreed to join a coalition government, ending a month-long deadlock. On Friday, Prime Minister Jalanath Khanal appointed 4 Maoists to his cabinet. Now, Nepal is still struggling to recover from a decade-long civil war between the Maoists and the state that ended 5 years ago. Subina Shrestha reports from Kathmandu.
Prabha Kharka lost her husband 5 years ago in Nepal's last revolution.
At that time, everyone was protesting. My husband also joined. He used to say that we have to protest for the country, for the people and for freedom.
Pradyumna Kharka was shot dead by security forces on the 20th of April 2006. He's remembered as a martyr. After 10 years of civil war with Maoist rebels and governed by an unpopular autocratic monarch, people were angry. Opposition leaders promised to bring peace and address the country's problems. The state retaliated with violence.
This was the intersection where Pradyumna was shot. Back in 2006, there were hundreds of thousands of people on this ring road surrounding the capital. After 19 days of protest, they managed to topple the royal government. It was a time of great optimism. But 5 years and 4 prime ministers on, people have started to question the success of the movement.
Prabha is greatly disappointed.
So many people were sacrificed, so many people were wounded, and now all that the leaders want is political power. When I think back on it, my heart becomes so heavy.
After the People's Movement, the monarchy was abolished. This used to be the royal palace. Now it's the foreign ministry. These people are queuing for passports. Almost 1,000 people leave the country every day in search of a better future. Suresh Chowdhury has come to Kathmandu from the countryside to get his documents.
There is no possibility of getting employment in this country. We've got democracy, but so what?
Service is poor. Like so much else in Nepal, it can be a frustrating experience.
At the time of a movement, there's always this euphoria and a sense that you can do anything. But I think almost what's more important is who organizes the reality that comes after the movement. The political parties and the Maoists who have been in charge of restructuring Nepal have not done a very sincere job.
5 years on, the optimism has given way to disillusionment. After all the promises of those 19 days of revolutionary drama, the process of enacting real reform has proved much more difficult. Sabina Shrestha, AlJazeera, Kathmandu.
The Spanish football club Real Madrid have stepped up security around manager Jose Mourinho after a man tried to stab him. The former Chelsea boss and self-styled special one was attacked as he signed autographs at La Coruña airport in northwestern Spain. Mourinho escaped unhurt, but his bodyguard suffered a 4-centimeter stab wound. The incident happened last Friday, but has only just been reported. Japan has launched the latest version of its famous bullet train. Hundreds of passengers were on board the Hayabusa or Falcon as it pulled out of the Tokyo station on Saturday. It now travels at up to 300 kilometers per hour. That will be raised gradually to 320 by the end of next year. The Shinkansen high-speed train has been around since 1964, and the Falcon is the first new model in 14 years. Thousands of tourists have joined Rio de Janeiro's 6 million residents for the city's annual Carnival festivities. Celebrations got underway with the traditional handing of the keys to the city to King Momo, the carnival's symbolic head. He then declared what's called the biggest party on earth officially open. On Sunday and Monday, Rio's Samba schools will compete against each other as Carnival reaches its climax. And that's it for now. We'll have more news after the break. There's a reminder that you can always keep up to date on our website. That's aljazeera.net/English. Take a look.
He's taken stolen goods and he's now dumping them onto the world without any sort of consideration for consequences.
From people making the news.
If the North will be saved a lot of trouble, I think it is important that they should come together.
To those it affects.
We do accept that there was very bad mistakes made in our banking area.
Behind the headlines.
Most South Koreans are not interested in reunification.
Is the inside story. At this time on Al Jazeera.
Homes have crumbled and many buildings have been left just empty shells.